Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in as always. Thank you for all your support, likes, comments, subscribes, shares, all very much appreciated. Right, let's get straight into it. Today we are doing the dreaded driver's side electric window no longer functioning fix. So mine's been doing it would go down, but it would only go up in 1 centimetre increments. It was like that when I first bought the car about 5.5 years ago, and I have since had a whole new switch panel and a new window motor regulator assembly, and it's worked for about 4 years, yet it has gone kaputski again. So that's what we're doing today, and here's what we've got. We have the Fsti specific window motor assembly. This is specific to the Fsti as far as I'm aware. JDM edition, you have to have this particular one because it's got the hall sensor and an additional cable so that it can do the auto closure. So we've got that to go on. WD-40, that'll be your friend. Not necessarily to get screws loose or anything like that, but just to lubricate the window mechanism so when it all goes back together it's lovely. We've got some very basic trim and fastener removal tools from Amazon. These cost about £10 I believe. I'll put a link in the description. They're not essential but nice to have, and I like using those so that I don't scratch any of the little dust caps when I'm prizing them off. We've got a selection of pliers, adjustable spanner just in case I need to attach that to the miniature ratchet handle to provide a little bit of additional leverage. Gloves, obviously, Gorilla Tape to repair any areas necessary on the plastic membrane on the inside of the door. Leatherman is your friend for getting that apart. And miniature ratchet handle. When I say that, Leatherman's your friend for cutting this. Miniature ratchet handle, which is going to be super handy for working blind behind the door frame when you're trying to get the 3 screws undone to remove the old motor. Selection of sockets in case we have to loosen anything to gain better access light if necessary. Tiny, totally inappropriate saw, but that is to cut this piece of sacrificial wood to length so that I can prop the window up, so when I remove the regulator it doesn't end up dropping down and injuring me. And a selection of screwdrivers. Again, for this task, stubbies are going to be your best friend. And other thing, an appropriate large soft space so that you've got somewhere to lay the door card while that's out, the speaker if necessary, the tweeter if necessary. I don't believe it is. Switch assembly, I like to have it to put it somewhere soft. It's not going on the floor, not in a million years. Anyway, we'll hopefully get into that, and I'll get the tripod GoPro on a stand and we'll start getting into that. We'll get the door removal part done, and then I sense that we might be having a little break while I go and have a coffee and the rain clears, and then we'll get back to it this afternoon probably. And seat is optional but obviously a nice to have. And if you think it's going to rain, get yourself a little working space where you can chuck everything back into the boot if necessary, or if it starts to chuck it down. Right, see you in a moment. So first tasks are, you want to use your small pick to prise off the little dust cap for that screw, and also for this screw. Once prized off, you want to start getting them undone. So just a regular Phillips needed for this part. These have been off before when I think one of my crossovers that a audio tech had fitted became loose, so door card was off And at the time, I'll warn you in advance, I noticed that the membrane, rather than carefully removing it, they're just, whoever done the window before and or whoever did the speakers had just butchered the membrane. Hence why I have the Gorilla Tape with me, because from memory last time, keep these spare, small one driver's door handle, larger one armrest, put them somewhere safe. Yeah, from memory last time I spent a fair degree of time repairing the membrane so it looked neat. So we should be able to just get a plastic pry in here and start lifting up. And the beauty with these is that this will help us not damage anything, because the car's a long-term keeper. I hope I'm not in the way. Because the car's a long-term keeper, I don't want to damage anything. So remove the multi-plugs. Should be relatively easy, he says. As you start removing them, you'll find that with a little bit more access space and subsequently visibility, you'll see the little locking mechanisms that need to be pressed in order to gain access. And this one's being a little bit more, excuse me, a little bit more stubborn than the other three, but there's always one. I believe it's this little locking tab here needs to be pressed in, and then we should be able to gain access. Right, you don't need to see that part. Let's get that off. I'm just getting close for this bit so I can point. So you had to push that little button in with this pointy part, and then it popped up. Really easy. Easy peasy. And the rain is coming. So get your door module somewhere clean, safe and dry, and then get another small pry tool, and I believe these are normally like a slide forward and off type affair from memory. Everything's a million times harder when you're doing it in front of the camera. There we go. There, pop, and then it should be like a up and over whilst trying not to damage anything. Always worth having a little inspection of the tabs. Put that in a safe place, and excuse me, now we're looking at, that's everything free, so now we're looking at the removal of the door itself, and they are just pop tabs, and there is, let's make sure that's in the right place. First one I located was here. Hopefully you can just see that on camera. And then once you've got one, you start to gain more visibility. There's another one down here, and it's just a case of pop, 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 pop. So let's just move the camera around a bit to there. Hopefully that's okay. Spin it round so you get less of me and more of door. And we're starting to get some movement. Okay, so you get to a point where it's just swinging, and then it's literally just a case of up, a little slide, on that part just to get it free of the tweeter, and then we have access to that part. Get my door card in safe. We'll have a quick look at that. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pop studs. Easy peasy. No damage, no drama, nothing's broke, all good. If you need to replace any, you can get them on Amazon quite easily. Oh, sorry, dropped it. You pop them out the little slide and you can replace them, and they clip back in. Easy peasy. And excuse me, right, the full horror of my repaired door card membrane, or sort of door membrane. So I tried to get everything repaired nice and neat so that we still had a seal. Everything was neat-ish. Apologies, it's not pretty. So, speaker out, 3 screws, hopefully it's on a multi-plug. That'll be going in the car. And then I'm gonna undo some of this membrane and hopefully peel enough back and just hook it on here and then get started on motor. So I'll get that out. Don't need to show a video on how. Oh, I will do. Oh, I will do. Let's just drop the GoPro down. I'm assuming Phillips, I think, will remove the entire spacer. That may turn out to be wrong. Leave the top one hanging a little bit so that when you get to the last one, it doesn't drop off on the floor. I don't want to damage my lovely Focal speakers. One of the best upgrades I did to the Fos. Chucking out the horrific, well, I'm sure they were good once, but the factory speakers were spent. So that's that. Obviously it's going to be attached to some Gorilla Tape. Probably not the case in your scenario, hopefully. Magnet's doing its best job to cling on, and terminals were soldered on, and we've got like 1 millimetre of wire. Fabulous. So I'll have a look at the solution for that and see if I can unplug the speaker. So this is the part where it's good to have your phone and the new item in your hand so you can see the target areas you're looking to undo. That screw thread, that screw thread, and that screw thread. Pop that to one side, and a phone with a decent screen and plenty of brightness and battery. You can see the multi-plug, and I think you can just about, I don't know whether the GoPro is going to pick it up, but I'm just starting to see the target screw heads I need to get undone. And also I'm going to go with another trick I've seen on some guides, which is to put Gorilla Tape along the top side just to stop the glass dropping down. We all know how strong Gorilla Glue is. If I chop my fingers off, I won't post the video. But I don't think I'm going to gain enough access to get a chock of wood in there. I know it's safety first, but I think I'm going to go with a Gorilla Glue across the top, just to stop that dropping back down. And I'm going to start locating the heads so that when we go back into the video, I've got a clear, concise way of doing that. Fortunately, I was able to pull through enough of this cable, which has been relatively neatly put in. But if, you know, normally it would be probably coming out of the tweeter, split, etc., etc., on the normal Subaru Hi-Fi. But because mine's coming out of the crossover, the cables run back down to here and along there. Anyway, there was enough extra. I'll use a soldering iron to remove the blobs of solder on the speakers, and then I'll put them on with spade connectors, nice and neat. Right, so I did put a chock of wood in the door cavity in the end, and I also taped the outside of the window to the top of the door. Now you need to just loosen that one, and there's another under here, which we will get. You don't want to undo it, you don't want it to drop inside, you just want to nip these loose so you've got a little bit of wiggle room when it comes to getting the motor out. Oh, that's that one, and there's one strategically placed up under all my speaker cables, so hopefully I'll be able to gain just enough access to that. You can tell we're at the it's getting ugly part. So I nipped off the Phillips screws whilst off camera, and you've got one exactly here on the other side, and then the other is, just get my finger on it, one there, and the other is exactly there, and then the other is exactly here, just behind this nut. Now there is enough space to get your arm in here and a paw in here to work, and if you start having a panic you can get a phone in that little aperture and just to eyeball what you're looking at. Now I'm using my left hand to apply a little bit of pressure on the ratchet head so that I achieve good contact the head of the tool and the screw, so that we don't lose anything, or sorry, you know, burr the tops, because that would be tragic. There's my first one. So she's not looking great, but hopefully she'll service me for another day. So that was top. And I would recommend, this is my first time of doing this, I always say it on the channel, don't I? My first time is your first time. Cool, why I woke up and thought, do you know what? I'm going to do this. I must be mad. No, yesterday I noticed that not only was it going up in inches now, or sorry, centimetres, now it's not going up at all. So I was like, right, that job's got to be done. So I've been saving myself loads of special tasks. Answers on a postcard. So they consist of doing the spark plugs, window motor, as I'm doing right now, and also coil packs. Yay me. I think if it wasn't for the fact that my hands were so greasy, this one would be mine by now. Anyway, as you can hear, expect a reasonable amount of fumbling about. Right. Yep. Switch the ratchet. Brilliant. Cooking and gas now. Just having a little eyeball on the just wake up the GoPro. Oh, that one's looking sad. I won't be doing them up mega tight, that's for sure. Just having a little safety eyeball on the shock. And as I say, the last one is approximately behind here. And I would recommend, when you pull the motor out, get it out possibly on your lap and make a very good note of its orientation. Right, that's that. Last one, inspect head. Not great, but it will do. And I suspect we're going to have to do a little bit more loosening on this. I'm thinking I favour the bottoms so that we've got some hang. Right. So let's get going. Anyway, this is the last time I'm touching the GoPro. I'm going to have to pause it in a minute. Keep a good eye on your cables. This one and this one. They're the two that you will need to attach to your new motor when the time comes for installing. Right, I feel a hand wash coming on and we'll get back to that. So I'll just re-record this bit just in case because the GoPro shut down. So what I discovered was lower bolt out altogether, this one loose, the one under here moderately loose, and I got in here and wiggled about with the motor until I could get a pry bar, a miniature pry bar under here, which I will show you. So Amazon Basics minimum miniature pry bar just under that, and as soon as I pried that out, we were there. Happy days. I didn't think it'd ever happen. Now, still looks in quite good condition really. Anyway, so I will memorise where it come from. It was this little nipple pointing upwards, the motor armature if you like, or the the motor part. It sits approximately there, and that's what you're fighting with. So if I can just line that up with where it was, you can see the little spur in there. It was connected to that, so that connected to that, and that was how she sat. So the main part was slackening off that one, getting a pry bar in and just jimmying that out, and the installation should be a reversal, so we'll see if we can get that as slick as possible. Just make myself another seat. Right, I'll hyperlapse this part if it's tragic, which it most likely will be, because it wasn't the most pleasurable experience. These cables are going to be going up there eventually, and this is going in like this, and we've just got to get it re-engaged with its little cap, which helps press it into the massive cog on the window mechanism. So I'll get myself in here as much as possible without ruining the shot. Lose the cables momentarily up there. We can reroute them afterwards, and then we got to start trying to slot this into that incredibly tight gap. But at least now I fully understand what and how it needs to happen, which is great. So apparently once it's clipped in, you should be able to ratchet the motor around a bit to align accordingly. It's amazing. It was so tight getting it out. Now it feels remarkably loose. But you just want to get it engaged with the big cog, and then we know we're happy. And I sense there being a need to employ the pry bar again. We're so close. I'm going to do a try getting one of these in, because I'm literally on that one. So I might be able to get a couple of turns in that. So we've got a guide. This is just when you specifically do not want cross-threading, which I fear is what happened. So I'll try that again. Right. Whew. So hopefully this will be enough to lever it into place. Right, that's got some purchase. So now we just need to pry that in to its little house. And I have been cautious throughout, just to keep making sure my wedges that are holding the window are in place. So we just need to get this up and into position. Sort of feels like it already is. We'll soon see. We will soon see. In theory, at least, if you're getting all your screws in, and then you're able to draw the window mechanism back into place, theoretically it's going to be okay. Now, where's that third one? There. No, it can't be it, can it? Can it? The joys of working blind. Just wake up the GoPro. There. The joys of working totally blind. I think, as I said at the start of the video, I did start questioning my sanity once I started getting into this a little bit, but right. That one. Where's that third hole? Can only be there. Let's get a little bit more tension on this, I think, just in case this plops up. Well, it's still attached, which is good. That's good. So, everything seems good. Be good to find this other hole. 1, 2. That's got to be the one. Yeah. It's funny, you never realise how difficult it is to do screws up blind in a mirrored fashion. You know, obviously making sure nothing's getting cross-threaded, you're not ruining the heads of anything. We're cooking with gas. We are cooking with gas. Good news is, only having this titchy little ratchet handle, which is from Bosch, I reviewed on the channel already. You know that you're not going to get anything ridiculously tight, because there simply isn't the leverage to do so, and it doesn't need over tightening. Your future self will thank you for it. Cool. I think smaller hands would be a bonus in this situation. Right, just nip that up, pause the GoPro, have a little sort out, and then we'll look at where we're at. So don't forget to remove Gorilla Tape from the upper that you had for security, and in the end, for my additional security, I had 2 braces, a little short one wedged in that way and a slightly longer one wedged in that way, so that I felt safe. And of course, before you fully finish up, which is going to be a lot of wiping down, sticking all this stuff together, connect up your multi-plugs and do a test and sit back and wonder at how amazing you are. Down, up, in one go. Auto down, lovely jubbly, auto up. Fabulous. So I hope that gives you a good idea. The reinstallation of the little thing was easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Getting it out was utterly hideous. So I'll start getting finished up. I'd just like to show you this. You can see where the old one was sitting in my chemical guy's valeting seat. So the liquid has been merrily flowing out of that. I will put this on top of, I'll put it here. So liquid's been merrily flowing out of that. So you can see that's why, probably like a design fault, you know, water gets in it because it's at the angle. Pillarless doors, the angle that it sits sort of down like that, it fills up with liquid over time and then, you know, becomes inoperable. Anyway, I'm gonna get this off, get everything tight, just do a last little nip, make sure everything's tight, have a good old tidy up of all round here and get that looking neat and presentable, because that's how I like it. And then I'll take a shot of that before I start putting the door card on. And I've got to resolder the speaker and reroute a couple of wires, but let's just get this get the start of that going. Sorry, I'm just going to move the GoPro, get it back on its stand. I hope that's worked pretty well. I was trying to get that as concise and decent shots where possible. Right, let's go through the fun of removing these again. Obviously, you can't go too firm with anything. Do you know, anything breaking? Right. So, I don't need to go in here again, and I'm happy that we've still got enough adhesive in this tape. Crossover's all still connected. We're happy to. I was just going to nip before I finalise that. Make sure the regulator's all tight. One wasn't. That'll be the one that clonked into place. Right, just make sure that's tight. Do a last little nip with this, just to make sure everything's happy. Yep. Yep. And that last pig of a find, you pour in, try and memorise where it was. There she is. Last little nip on there. That's fine. One thing worth doing. No, we're good. Right, speaker cable needs to go in there, and I've gained enough to be able to do a quick solder. Don't need to go in there anymore. So I'm just going to get the speaker cables soldered back on, get the speaker in, and then we'll video the last bit of assembly, make sure everything's neat, have a little bit of wipe down, get that little bit of glue off there, which is really irritating me, and then we're almost there. Well, it's a bit of a patchwork quilt, but it was like that before anyway. So everything's back, everything's sealed, everything's tested. Just going to get the door card on, one last test, stand back and admire my handiwork. Right, apologies, I was so excited I shot a short for the channel and almost forgot the wrap up. Anyway, it's all back together. Auto down, you might have to hold it down for 4 or 5 seconds just to program its lower position. Same with auto up, in that once you've finished, it doesn't always do auto up and auto down first of all. However, it is going. So I think motor's 169.99 from ICP, Import Car Parts, but I will confirm that. Anyway, so let's just summarise. Door card off, easy. Speaker out, easy. Although didn't realise they were soldered in. I hated having to solder it back on. That was a right pain in the bum. Taking it all apart, no drama. As you've seen, the membrane, mine's a bit of a mess. One day I'd like to re-trim a new one to go on there. Probably will do, because I like all that sort of thing. Just keep it all nice. I'll probably replace that. But, you know, it's neat and sealed and tight and everything's working. And it's just getting that, it's having the balls to release the nuts off the regulator to the point where bottom one's off, top two are loose enough just to be able to prise the little cap, retaining cap, out the back of that's covering the cog on the motor. Once you've released that, getting the new one in is a doddle, and then it's just putting it all back together and standing back and admiring your handiwork. And of course, once I've had a sit down and a drink and thought about what's just happened, then I've got copious amounts of tidying up. Anyway, I'm going to get that all condensed down, hopefully into a nice palatable video that you'll all enjoy, and I hope that's helpful. Thank you all for watching as always. Take care, see you again soon. Bye bye.